Girl, we need some gold pillows up in here.
Oh, yes, we do.
Let's match our gold personality.
Yes. I
so
love how your personality is so big.
No, I love
It's exactly how we're putting into our decor some of it of our personality.
Yeah, I mean, even like as simple as the lipstick you wear and how beautiful your lips are.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it.
I love you too.
But it's not as gorgeous as your beautiful hair.
Oh yeah.
Look at
this. Hello, Red.
Yes. You know, I really love how we both share the same, attention to details.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yes. Okay, so these gotta go. We gotta get these out.
Get this out of the shop. Make sure the pillows are fluffed. Oh.
I love that how you just agree with me.
Obviously, I love how agreeable you are too and how you make it so easy.
Easy it is.
You've got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You've got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You've got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You've got to pump it up, don't you know?
All right.
Pump it up.
So a warm welcome to everybody watching. This is the start of the midweek pump. Woo-hoo! We are so excited to be creating this and sharing it with the world. Obviously, there's been a lot of challenges that we're facing and a lot of negative news that we're listening to. So this is an opportunity for us to really bring some value and some fun and excitement and some positivity and empowerment to all of your homes. Stay tuned for what's more to come within this podcast. But for now, we have a very important topic to discuss today.
Thank you, Laura. Thanks for that intro to our beautiful audience.
Yeah.
But today we wanted to share with you something that's very important to everybody's life and something that we practice within our life, and it is called acknowledgement.
Yeah, and you may be thinking acknowledgement is just, simply acknowledging something, but there's really more depth that's involved in truly acknowledging someone and what acknowledgement means. So I want to share with you, I want to start with, actually first, let me share with you how I met Antonietta.
Oh, okay. Sure, let's go there.
Because this is really cool. It's actually very connected to what we're discussing today. So the very first time I met Antonietta was actually in a course that we were taking together. It was about 1.5 years ago, and it's crazy because it feels like I've known you for 20 years.
20.
At least,
really?
Minimum.
Like you know everything.
But throughout this course, we got to know each other, we became friends, but there was this one exercise that we were taking on, and in that exercise, she acknowledged me. She was holding my hands and she was looking into my eyes and she was like, Laura, I acknowledge you for the generous woman you are. You're so always looking to take care of others, and just that really translates into how beautiful you are. And she just was with me and saying these words, and I got very touched. I felt seen and known for who I truly am. And in that moment, I'm like, this girl is my sister for life.
Sister.
Yeah, and I want you to know, I want all of you to know, like that's how we came to know each other. It was through this course. We did some really intense work together. We had some little vacations together, and it was great. And now here we are, co-creating this amazing project. So I just wanted to share that. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Laura.
You're welcome.
That's really sweet. That's really nice. I'll just share a little bit about how I first met Laura, and similar as you already shared, that we did meet the very first time in a course that we took together, a personal development course. And I just remember the very first moment when you walked into the meeting. I had already started this course. It was a year-long program. So Laura walked into the second quarter of my time in that program. And seeing this woman come into the meeting that we had for our group, she definitely was in her own personality, had her own glow, and everybody else was really professional sitting into this meeting as we were told to conduct ourselves. That's the training that we have is really being rigorous in how we present ourselves. But I just love she came in with ripped jeans, flamboyant attitude, and just was like this big ball of personality. I was like, who is this woman? I need to know her. So I knew right away, just from the energy, just how she showed up, that I was going to get to know this woman and we were going to be great friends. And I loved that she came in just not even nervous about not fitting in with the rest of the group. And however so, she may have different thoughts in her mind, but she still showed up and she presented herself just as who she is. And that's why I feel like we jive really well together.
Yeah.
And I acknowledge you exactly just for who you are. You're always just authentic to how you want to be in the environment.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I love that you have that memory of me. And
Yeah.
you know what else? We're Italian, so kind of, it kind of naturally was going to go that way.
Absolutely. We stick together, don't we?
Yes, we do. All right, cool. So let's dive into this topic because this is really fun. I mean, the topic of acknowledgement, the first time I really experienced it vividly for myself was being in this course with Antonietta. One of the weekends we were at a conference together. There was over 1,000 people there. It was all of North America. And we were sitting in this really large conference room. It was close to the end of the weekend where the meeting was coming to an end, and all of a sudden the presenters, they stopped the meeting and they said, we're going to take on a very special exercise right now, or we're going to have a special part of the meeting take place now. So everyone just please get ready. So I thought, okay, what's going on here? And all of a sudden, it was like they asked us to just start applauding. So we're all applauding, and literally the entire staff of this hotel where we were staying for the conference came like single file, walking in onto the conference stage, and it was literally probably like 150 people.
Yeah.
Like the entire hotel staff.
Just imagine, like hotel staff who clean your room, who clean your toilets, who cook your food, like the entire staff, the hospitality staff of the hotel that takes care of you, that you get to have a whole weekend moving without thinking about that stuff.
Yeah. So first of all, to see like everybody who's involved in putting together an event for a weekend, that was magical in and of itself. But then there was somebody from, of the presenters who stood in front of all of those people, all of those staff members, and acknowledged them for like 5 minutes, truly just stared into each of their eyes and said, we acknowledge you for what we were able to experience because of your work this weekend. And it was so moving. Like literally there was not a dry eye in that moment. We were all just moved. Are you getting goosebumps?
I am, because it brings me back to the memory, and the reason why it's so impactful when you take that moment as we experienced is to acknowledge somebody else for who they are, what they've done, their service. Like, it stays with you. That is a memory that stays with you.
Yeah, and I remember someone sharing after that exercise, it's like they used to work in the hospitality industry and how much they felt taken for granted because they're just, serving tables or washing dishes or whatever it was. And in that moment, they were like, wow, how good those people must feel about what they do, how proud they must feel for what they do. So that was my first experience of acknowledgement.
Yeah, so beautiful.
Yeah, and another thing I'll add too is, you may think that when you're acknowledging someone, it's like a husband or a wife or a sibling, like someone you've known for a long time or a friend. But really, in that moment, I realized like nobody knew each other. It was a presenter talking to the staff for the very first time and acknowledging them. And then shortly after that moment, we had a meeting privately, just like the people in the course from Toronto. And we were in this room, and one of my team members, Kyle, like he acknowledged me in front of everyone for just something he had heard me say. And I realized too, it's like it doesn't have to be this big ordeal of acknowledgement. It can literally just be, you don't know this person, but you're acknowledging them for something that you heard, and just looking at their eyes and giving them that attention in that moment of acknowledgement. And it's just so special and beautiful. Yeah.
Hey guys, I'd like to also explain to you what acknowledgement could be in other scenarios or other circumstances. Acknowledgement is just not about giving somebody this big highlight in a group of people, as Laura has mentioned, or like a one-on-one, but it can also be, acknowledgement is very important when it's not put in. And the reason why it's very important to have this understanding of acknowledgement in your life, because you can pass so many conversations, you can pass so many environments or interactions where that could be such a gift to somebody. Mm-hmm. And I'll share authentically on an experience I most recently had, and I'm sharing it. Sorry, Mom, I know it might be something not so of a highlight, but I know where your heart is. But I want to share this story because I feel like it plays such an important part on where acknowledgement is not present, or it can make such a difference for somebody. So, a couple of weeks ago, my mom and I had a quick chat in the morning. Great morning to start off. I had started my day as I normally do with my great practices, and so I was feeling good. And there was a conversation in regards to what we've been up to and so forth, and my mom had asked me about some most recent opportunities that have been playing out in my life. And her conversation, and I know our communication is very relaxed often at times, and our communication is like motherly and daughterly, you know, you kind of get used to the way you speak, and sometimes it's like, it's a little slang, and, you know, maybe it's, you know, just a little, you know, improper. However it is. However, I know in hindsight, the way she communicated, it didn't necessarily translate that into the moment. And so I want to describe this as, what she specifically was asking me was like, well, how did those opportunities go? You know, how did those jobs go? And well, her specific words were like, well, aren't you doing anything? Why didn't you get the job? And she was diving into know exactly what was happening. But in that moment, when she started to really dive in, it landed so differently for me. It did trigger some thoughts that made me go into a past-based mindset. It had me feel, you know, not enough, I wasn't doing enough, I wasn't good enough, and it really just started to bring me down the whole of a past-based mindset of, you know, like not feeling good enough, and I wasn't doing anything in my life. And so it really brought me into a place of feeling low. It brought me into a place of feeling, you know, like, wow, like I'm not important, all of that, the whole world of that. And why I share this is so important, because when you can step into this distinction, this concept of acknowledgement, you actually can be of such a great contribution to somebody. So you can be of such a great gift to see what that person is not seeing for themselves. So rather than me going into, you know, a bit of, I'll share an hour or two of not feeling great about myself, feeling really emotional, to be honest, feeling very vulnerable, and feeling like, oh my goodness, like I'm just not doing enough, I'm not good enough. And that was so real for me. It was so real. Like I was in a whirlwind of like feeling like low. And so the reason why this distinction is so important for when it can be put into place, because if somebody can understand that as being a gift to somebody to offer, when that person, me being myself, not seeing my own capabilities, not seeing my own truth, and not seeing like who I really am in my life, could have had me spiral even further. And I'm sure this does happen for many people. So this is why the distinction of acknowledgement is such a beautiful gift, is because when you are aware of it, and you know somebody who's in your family, your partner, your spouse, your friendships, in your community, whoever they may be, but if you can offer acknowledgement as a gift because they're not seeing who they are or what they're really capable of or what they're up to, what their power is, whatever you see them as they don't see for themselves, that is so powerful. And that is a gift you want to have, you know, to share in this world. That is a gift of, you know, creating unity. And you're lifting somebody up. You're really lifting somebody up to their power when they're feeling low. And so acknowledgement in that conversation would have been something like, you know what, Antonietta, I know you're my daughter, and I know you've worked so hard. You've always been such a hard worker. And I might not be seeing exactly what you've been doing in this scenario, but tell me about it. So that could have been, you know, the acknowledgement to open the conversation and providing, hey, that kind of gift of, it's okay, you know, like, you're doing something really great, and so forth, whatever, the statements may sound like. But in that moment, you know, putting in the acknowledgement as the gift to lift them up could have been such a difference. And that's an impact. That's a beautiful, positive impact that you want to have between the relationships that are in your life, and even to offer that to even strangers. So that's what I want to share, where acknowledgement as a distinction can be such a valuable gift to, you know, give to others.
That's really beautiful. And even what I'm hearing, because I mean, let's be honest, we all have difficult conversations with our mothers, right? I mean, it's part of life, it's humanity. And it's also, I think of times where, yeah, I'm even getting from what you're sharing, where I can acknowledge my mom, that she's, you know, maybe she is coming from a place of love, and even though it doesn't translate that way, I can acknowledge that. So even in that, it's reciprocal. I'm really seeing that. Really, really beautiful share.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we all see the people in our lives in certain lights, right? And we all see them maybe in lights that they don't see for themselves. So if you can recognize and just tune in when that could be put in for somebody else, it's so beautiful. It's like it's changing the moment.
Oh, yeah.
You're changing the moment,
Yeah.
and you're also, changing that experience for yourself. So
Yeah.
what was left with my mother, just sharing that experience, was what she felt like she was mean and she wasn't a good mother. And so we had this conversation after the fact, because obviously I have these tools and distinctions to resolve those communication behaviors, but it also is a gift for both parties, because she left after that conversation feeling like, shoot, like I'm not a good mother. Did I say something wrong?
Right.
But her intention really was just to understand like what was going on in the scenario. The communication wasn't left in a good experience, because I went down to one hole of a mindset and I shunned her off, and she was left feeling like she was not a good mother. So it's really, you want to create a different impact for both parties in that moment of time by acknowledging like, hey, it's okay, like I know you're up to something, and like, hey, I know you're doing this, but just verbally acknowledging something that they may not be seeing for themselves in that moment, but you see them. You really see them, and it's acknowledging somebody for just being who they are, and that's okay.
Yeah. And I heard you say like the shift of energy, like bring that energy up.
Absolutely.
Bring it up.
We always want to feel our greatest and our
Yeah.
best, and that's the way where you just want to tap into somebody's
Yeah.
feeling low, and you're like, hey, we're changing that up.
Yeah.
I acknowledge you
Yeah.
for being such a wonderful person.
Yeah, the ability to do that is like good. It's really good.
Yeah, that's the playing field that Laura and I play on, right?
We play in that field, baby. All right. So you may be wondering, after listening to this, what can you take away into your own life and to other people's lives in this topic of acknowledgement? And literally, it's as simple as calling someone up and acknowledging them for something, or meeting with a friend who maybe they left you feeling really good and you don't think that they got that about themselves, so you just want them to know. Do you have any examples, Antonietta? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I have a great example right at this moment.
Okay.
Laura, as my lovely friend, I acknowledge you for just holding presence in my life. Your presence just shows up for me as beauty, as love, as a reciprocal energy that I can be who I am, just authentic as I am. And so I acknowledge you for your presence in my life.
That's really beautiful. I got that. Thank you. Thanks. And I acknowledge you for wanting, like, co-creating this amazing project and what we're doing here, and being a gift to the world, in that you really want others to experience happiness and joy and love. That's who you are for the world. That's who you are in my life. And so I acknowledge you for being a big yes to sharing that with others, because it truly shows your spirit of generosity and who you are.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I receive that. I receive that acknowledgement. And for you guys, as our audience, we want to acknowledge you for tuning in to this episode, for tuning in to our podcast. I acknowledge you for taking few moments of your life just to listen, to hear what's there. What are they speaking about? Who are these girls? I acknowledge you for the woman you are in your life, for the man you are in your life. We acknowledge you as being parents, as being just neighbors. We acknowledge you for trying in this time. We acknowledge you for doing your best. We acknowledge you for, just keeping going forward. That is so great, and you are perfect as you are. So we acknowledge you for tuning in with us.
Yeah, Antonietta, so well said. And also, I want to acknowledge everybody in our community who will be guests with us on our podcast, entrepreneurs that we're collaborating with, business owners, and just in general, everybody who's tuning in from all walks of life. We're so excited to be with you, and we're so excited for what's to come. We acknowledge you for tuning in to the Midweek Pump, and we love you.
You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to to pump